this video, we are going to talk about adding a blog or a news page to your site. A blog or a news page can be really handy to share news about your church. You could have a pastor's blog where the pastor writes encouraging things or little lessons or devotionals. You might want to tell stories about things happening in your church community. You might want to report on outreach events that you have completed and the success you found. You might just want to share good news about how God is working among your people or in your city or town. Blogs or news pages are created by publishing posts. Now, as we talked about, pages and posts are similar but slightly different. Posts can be organized by categories and tags and then can be displayed in a type of a feed or some sort of grid layout even. It's good to think of pages as isolated, self-contained pieces of content, such as the About page. As you write and publish posts, depending on how you have it set up, the most recent post will be displayed at the top of the feed or the front of the list, and everything else will be pushed down. So this is a way to be adding content to your site, keep it fresh, have a section that changes time to time, and keeps people up to date on certain aspects of your church. So right now, we already have a lot of sample posts here. So I'm not going to go through the process of creating a post as it is very similar to working with the page editor. Let me just open this up and you can see it's just the same kind of layout. With one exception, there's some additional elements here such as categories, tags, and an excerpt. Oh, you can also use posts for posting online sermons. Posts are used for creating podcasts. So let's go ahead and look at this example post, and we're going to go ahead and preview it in another tab. So when you load an individual post, it does look like a page, and it does operate very similar to a page when you're looking at the post individually. But when you're looking at the feed or the collection of posts, that is where things change a little bit. So let's go ahead and go back into our dashboard, and we're going to go to pages. We have a page here already called blog, and here next to it, it shows it's designated as the posts page. This is set up in the customized settings. This is also set up under the reading settings. So if we go to the reading settings, we can see the home page is set to the page called home. The post page is set to the page called blog. So if we were to go back to pages and load up our blog page, let's click view, and I'm going to go to a new tab. We can see that now we see all of the posts laid out in a grid. The way that these are displayed on your website is determined by the theme. The theme will have the preset layout, and that is what we are seeing at work here. Now, this is not the only way to display a blog on your website. There are a few other ways to display posts. Let's head into the customized settings, and what we want to find is the homepage settings. This is another place that has the same options as we just saw. So we can designate which published page we want to be our front page or our home page, and we can decide which page will be used as our blog. Let me show you one more thing. If we go to the page called blog and open that in the page editor, we actually will not see any content. It's because this is acting like a placeholder that the theme then uses to populate automatically with our published posts. So it says right here, you are currently editing the page that shows your latest posts. So we could add content here, but none of this will be shown as it is overridden by the blog posts instead. So that can be a little bit confusing. Now let's suppose we wanted to do this a different way. Let's go back to our customized settings, and we're going to unassign the blog page as the post page. You can do that just by selecting select, which basically says no pages are being used as the post page. We'll hit publish to save the changes. Now let's head back to our blog page and refresh. Now we can see that that message is gone. And if we are to reload the blog page, now we can see the message. Can you see this? So let's look at another way we can set up the blog. We can set up the blog using a couple different types of blocks. Let's go to the block navigator here, and I'm just going to type posts, and we can see here are a few different options. We can use the latest post, which is a native WordPress block, and as you can see by default, it's just showing the titles. We could set it to grid, and then look over here in the block settings. We can have the post content and just show an excerpt. We can display the featured image. We can decide how we want them to be ordered, oldest to newest, newest to oldest, or alphabetically. And we can decide how many columns we want to have. We might want to have 5 columns or just 2 columns. Let's just keep 3 columns, and let's do 9, although I don't think we have 9. Oh, we do have 9. And an update. And then if we reload, then it's a similar layout, but now we have full control over what we are displaying here. Now you might want to set up a page and just display a certain category of posts. So let's remove this block. Let's look for another option. Let's go to the posts block, which I believe is from the Kadence blocks. And here we have similar options, but we can actually filter by category. Let's say we want only past messages to show. So you might have a category for sermons. You might have a category for children's ministry and want to show only the children's ministry blog posts on here. Okay, so that just gives you an idea of how you can set this up more manually and have a little more control. With this in mind, let me show you one more thing that's handy. Let's go back to our front page. Let's go ahead and add a news section on here. I'm going to remove this bottom section that we added. And let's add insert after, and let's add that same posts block. This time we're going to show only 3 items and newest to oldest, and that's fine. And above this, let's add a header. Let's do advanced text. Let's make it center. Latest news. Update that. Take a look at the page. And there we have added a blog section to our front page. Now we can see it's extending to the edges. As we did before, let's go ahead and change the page layout to default instead of full width. And then we can let's go back to our home page and take a look. Now it's a little bit better. So that's just a quick way you can add some blog posts to your front page. Now let me show you one more thing. What happens if we add a new post? So Hello World is our newest post right now, but let's go into our posts section and we're going to create a new post. Give it a title, give it some text. I'm going to give it a featured image, which is in the post settings. And the featured image is what is used as like the thumbnail. Let's publish it. And then let's head back to our front page and reload. And there we are, brand new post. Great news, we published another post. And if we click on it, it takes us to the individual view of the post. And then if we go to our blog page and reload it, should show up on our blog page. Oh, no, it doesn't because we changed the category we were using. So let's go to edit page. We can edit our blog page directly. Let's make sure we click into the posts block. And then let's get rid of the category filter so it shows everything. Update, view page, and now we can see our new post here. Let me show you one more thing with posts, and that is how to add a category page to our menu. So remember our menu, we can go to the customize settings to edit our menus. Let's go to menus. And this is a primary menu we have up here at the top. And then we're going to add items. So one thing you can add to your menu is what's called a category page. So we have these categories that our blog posts are divided up into. Let's say we wanted to have our past messages as a link in our navigation. So I'm going to click on this, and you can see here is a little clue. It gives it the label category, and that's compared to pages up here. You can actually put posts in your menu, which generally is not recommended. So you can see here now, past messages is a link, and it shows up as a link in our navigation. Let's publish it and see what happens when we click on it. When we click on this, it'll open up to an archive page of all of the posts that are in the category past messages. Now it is using the theme's default layout like we saw at the very beginning. But that is a way you can quickly create a page that displays all the posts of a certain category. Oh, and now let's add our blog page. To our navigation. Oh no, we have two. Let's see if we get the right one. Yep, okay, good. So now we have our ministries, we have our about, contact, past messages, which show only these categories, and then our blog, which shows all of our posts. And that just gives you an idea of how to utilize and add a blog section to your website.